Well, it's such an exciting time in the breeding industry down here in the Southern Hemisphere. As strong as ever, I think it's fair to say, when it comes to the opportunities for breeders and the stallions available. And another this year that, of course, is a part of the Cobbitty lineup is Bettors Wish. What a star racehorse he was. And to discuss him in a little bit more depth, it's a real pleasure to have Chris Ryder joining me. Thank you for your time, Chris. I'm sure that you're going to enjoy reminiscing on this star stallion's career. It must have been pretty special to be a part of.
Yes, it was terrific, really, because Dexter just arrived and he kicked off on Bettors Wish, and Bettors Wish did what he did, and it was just a great story from beginning to end. Well, it's not ended, obviously, but it's interesting that you called today, because just today, Nicola and I, my wife, we went and saw Bettors Wish, and we haven't seen him for over a year. We went and saw him at Southland Farm, which is not too far away, and it was just great to see him, and he was his usual self, and yeah, it was really, really nice, really good.
Oh, how special. It's hard when horses like that, I'm sure, leave the barn, but it's nice to see them have something to go on and do, and he's going to have a long and successful siren career, I'm sure. But I'd like to go back to the start of the Bettors Wish story with you. I know he did the majority of his racing, was it, as a 2-year-old in Canada, but how did he come into your care?
Well, I was at Lexington Sale, and I went to Brittany Farm to look at the yearlings like I do every year, and he was there, and as far as I was concerned, he was just a standout. He was this precocious, dark brown, dark bay colt. It really wasn't getting much attention. And the farm manager, Art Zubrod, was in love with him. And as soon as I saw him, I really wanted him. And he went through the sale just about a week later, and we were lucky enough to get him.
So why do you think he flew under the radar? Is it just that typical Bettors Delight way that they're not big and imposing, and they don't maybe stand out in a crowd to most on what the regular maybe 2-year-old looks like? Why do you think that was?
Well, yeah, it's a bit of an anomaly to me. He had everything I like to see in a horse. He had a surgery to take out an OCD. He went through the ring as a ridgeling, and buyers don't like that. He was also Ontario side, selling in Lexington, and he just didn't go for a lot of money. But that was to my advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. To the breeder's detriment, maybe, but to your advantage in the end, because you're able to pick him up at a really good price. So being Ontario's side, you obviously decided to head him up there for his 2-year-old year. And what did that look like?
It was very good. Sent him up to Chantel Mitchell. I qualified him here in New Jersey before he went up. He had a good year. He took a mark of 51 and did well, but it wasn't top of the class. No one was talking about him, but he had a good year.
Well, his 3-year-old year was something pretty outstanding. I think he went on to win, what was it, $1.7 million across the year, and there wasn't many fights he missed out on. Gosh, he must have been a tough little tacker.
Yeah, whenever you wanted him to race, he was ready and he was willing. He didn't miss a race, raced in all the big dances, and it was a great year. It was a terrific year.
Speaking of his, I guess, accolades and the races he won, but maybe, and I'm sure for you it was very special when he was able to win the USTA 3-year-old of the year. What a hotly contested division that is. It can't be easy to achieve.
No, it's never easy to achieve, but in 19 starts that year, 13 wins and 7 seconds, and a second was his worst race all year, and he never got beat by much. That's a statistic that is fairly interesting, but it is what it is. It was just a super year, and we knew he was going to be 3-year-old of the year. But it's always pretty good when you're sitting at the awards in Florida in February and your horse's name comes out.
Yeah, I'm sure completely well deserved. So we know with a lot of these 2 and 3-year-old star pacers and trotters up there in North America, they then go on to the breeding barn not long thereafter. What was the decision process around racing him on after his 3-year-old year?
What can I tell you? We just raced him at 4, mainly because he had raced we put him in the TVG. That was his final start as a 3-year-old against the aged horses, the TVG final. He was invited into that from winning at the Tattersalls in Lexington. The 3-year-old winners from the Tattersalls get invited to the Open TVG. So we put him in it, and he finished second. Dexter came back and said, I should have blasted out of the gate. He would have won it. But so that is the reason why I'm telling you that, is that told us that would be safe to bring him back as a 4-year-old, because you don't want to bring him back as a 4-year-old and have a so-so year, you know. But as we know, he came back as a 4-year-old, and he was aged horse of Pacer of the Year again.
Yeah, he was fantastic at 4 and just so competitive. And it can't be an easy step from age group racing against those real, I guess, hard-headed open style horses, but he really did take that step wonderfully well. If I was to ask you what his best racing asset was, is there something that stuck out, or was he just really the all-round racehorse?
Well, obviously he was an all-round racehorse, but one of his, he had a lot of achievements, but one of the better ones that I can quote you is he won at Northfield Park. I forget the name of the race. He won at Northfield Park on a half mile in 1:50, and then 5 days later he won at the Red Mile in 47 in the Kentucky Sire Stakes. So it was a big ask of the horse. He was shipped from Jersey to Northfield, and then from Northfield to the Red Mile, and then race against the best 5 days later. But I kind of had to get enough points to make the Kentucky final. That's really why I did it. But he handled it, he handled it.
He obviously had a really, really strong, I guess, body to be able to put up with all that. But just on him as a horse to train, was he an easy horse to train? I guess nice horses generally are a little bit easier than the poorer ones, but what kind of horse was he day to day?
You wouldn't know he was in the barn. We had him down the end of the barn. That's where he started when he first came in, and he stayed there with his groom Alonzo, and he never gave us any trouble at all. He was a piece of cake to train. He just went out, did nothing wrong. It just, very soft mouth on him, just an absolute treat. You had to be careful if you asked him to go a little bit, because I look at my watch and say, wow, I didn't want to go 26, but here we are. Be a little careful you didn't go too much with him, because he didn't need much work.
What about his attributes of being able to get around those tighter turning circuits? Because that's something I think a lot of breeders down here look to. We don't race on huge tracks as a rule. I mean, Menangle's a bit bigger, but there's still some great opportunities on these tighter turning tracks. So you want to look to the stallion to make sure they were capable of doing it, and he clearly was.
Yeah, he loved a small track. He never wore a boot. He was very clean gaited, obviously didn't interfere, and he zipped around the Yonkers and Northfield. I believe that's the only 2 half-mile tracks I had him on, and he was terrific, yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched one of his wins, I think early on in his 3-year-old campaign at Yonkers, and you wouldn't even know that he was going around he really railed like a greyhound, so to speak. So he clearly enjoyed those smaller tracks. Just on his breeding a little more, and you clearly took a fancy to that, as well as the type that he was. But we know Bettors Delight's just been an amazing sire and what he's achieved. But I believe even on his maternal side, he had some really, really good pedigree to back that up.
Well, it's my belief that I don't understand why people don't jump on the family more. He came from the Three Diamonds family, which was another strong reason why I brought the colt. And the Three Diamonds family is so prolific. There's just top horse after top horse that keeps coming out of that family. So as I'm saying, it goes back to Three Diamonds. It's just the best family there's ever been. Caveat Alley, American Ideal, Live Sign, now Twin B Joe Fresh, and obviously Bettors Wish. You know, there's just so many great horses come out of that family, and it's continuing, and I believe it's going to keep on continuing. Now he has that blood as a stallion, and you can't get it from any other stallion. There's no other stallion out of there that comes from the Three Diamonds family apart from American Ideal. The speed, you know, they've got speed and it's quality.
It's quite astonishing when you list off some of those names. You've had a fair bit of success out of that family. You'll be hoping people continue to sleep on it. You might be able to jump in there and grab another few.
I probably shouldn't advertise. It might cost me money. But I actually bought 3 colts this year out of the same family for, you know, not too much money. So we'll see.
Quite remarkable. Just on what he's done early on in his siring career, I believe it's 3-year-old, his oldest progeny up there. We're eagerly awaiting his first lot of 2-year-olds to step out onto the track here in Australia. But just on what he achieved, particularly that first crop, I mean, to sire a millionaire in your first crop, it's not an easy thing to achieve, and Bettors Nice is pretty good.
Bettors Nice is super horse. He won in 48, the Kentucky Sires final. For 400, he paced home in 25 and change. He is not a very big colt either, and he's out of a unfashionably bred mare. He's gone over $1 million, and he's obviously still 3. Bettors Wish first crop. He's the number 1 leading sire average earnings per foal at right around $50,000. The average earnings per foal at the moment. And he had another very good, he got a good winner called Arbitrage Hanover that Brett Pelling owns and trains with some other owners. He won the Jersey Sire Stake final at the Meadowlands. And then just a week or 2 ago, there was a winner in 151 at Freehold, which is a slow half. Wish You Well, that Nifty Norman has. So he's getting quite a list of nice colts.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the sounds of things, they're all in the right barns as well. So we're going to see them, I'm sure, go on and do really good things. Just on the type of horses that he throws, you've mentioned he's at typical Bettors Delight. He's not a big imposing horse, but he looks to be perfectly well proportioned. I noticed with his yearlings, looking at them for the first time earlier on this year, that I wouldn't say they were typical Bettors Delight looking yearlings. Quite a few of them had a fair bit of size and scope about them. What do you look at when you see them?
Well, yes, I've seen some fairly big ones. I've seen some medium ones, and I've seen some smaller ones. But they all have good conformation and particularly nice eye on them, a nice head, nice eye. You know, they don't look rough. They're tidy, and I'm pleased to see he's stamping them with nice heads. The yearlings look great, and you know they're looking good, and they've been brought by just this crop this year. You know, some trainers that have had them last year have been going back and buying the yearlings again. Brett Pelling bought a couple, one for himself, Noel Daly, Irv Miller, myself. So, you know, people that have had them like them, and they're buying them.
Yeah, they will repeat business. There's nothing quite like it, isn't it? So that's a fairly good indicator. What about, and you mentioned it earlier on, the relationship that this horse had with Dexter. I think he was one of his all-time favourites, and that's saying something because Dexter's had a fair bit to do with some pretty special horses, but he knew there was something about this guy, and they just seemed to click as well.
Dexter's got a soft spot for him, and he you know, they just clicked together. It was really nice to watch. But Dexter's particularly proud of his Sam McKee win. Like, he was parked out in 25. He made the lead in 52 and 1. And at the 3/4 pole in 1:19, he was pretty tired on the front end, and they were coming at him, and he held on to win in 47. Dexter and I talk about that race once in a while. So that was a special win. Dexter loved that about the horse. And his last start of his career, he won the TVG final at the Meadowlands again. So the Sam McKee was a great race to win because he was a very popular announcer here that passed away early. And it's just a really great race.
Yeah, I love those images of Dexter going across the line as well in that TVG final. You can tell how much it meant to him to send Bettors Wish out a winner. What about for you? You've had a lot to do with some really special horses across your career. Where does this guy stack up? I don't want to ask you to rank them who's the best, but I'm sure that he's right at the top.
Oh, no, he's definitely at the top. But people ask, what's the best filly you had? What's the best horses? And it's like trying to tell someone which is your best kid. You know what I mean? You champions are champions, and I just leave it at that. But he's, he's number one. Yeah, he's number one because his legacy is going to continue. That's, mares come and go. They have foals, but Bettors Wish is going to have a better. It's just a whole lot better having the stallion,
Yeah, it must be fun to watch not only what he's doing up there, but I'm sure that you'll be keeping a close eye on what transpires down here in the Southern Hemisphere as well. As mentioned, he was picked up at the yearling sales earlier this year by all the right people. So that's an amazing start to his career. He's in the right barns, and hopefully in the next 6 months or so, we'll see them roll out and have really good success. It's very exciting to have him as a part of the Cobbitty roster in this 24-25 season. Thank you for your time, Chris. We really appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed reminiscing on what was a great career by your guy, Bettors Wish, and we can't wait to see what he can do.
You're welcome, Brittany, anytime. Thanks so much.